So when I ask about propagating Katuk, people told me you could do it from seed really easily, or if you have one planted in the ground, it will sprout up babies around it that you can transplant. But mine's in a pot because, I don't know, I've had it that way in case I wanted to take it in to cover it, which I never do. So I took some cuttings and I stuck it in this dirt, and they were kind of tall because I think that the bigger, when I took small Katuk cuttings, they didn't root. Look at that. So I took a little bit bigger ones, and then I just put in my propagation box, instead of putting the lid on, I put another box over the top of it, and you can see whichever ones were actually touching the plastic burnt and the leaves fell off, which is fine. It doesn't matter, it rooted, and all of them rooted. All the pieces I stuck in there took. So I'm just going to leave that for another couple of weeks in the shade, let it, without the plastic, get some new leaves on, which you can tell there's new buds coming up on it. I think this is one of the biggest problems people have when they try to propagate stuff, is it's not always going to look excellent when you do it. But look at that, that's new, that's all new. So you might think, oh, this is trash, but it's not trash, it's going to be beautiful plants. Give that a couple weeks before I plant it out to let it get bigger root system going, and we'll see how it goes. This is my Katuk plant that I've had for about 6 years, maybe 5 or 6 years, and it's just in a half of a barrel that has its own watering system in there. And I've always been chicken to plant it in the ground because I didn't want to lose it. And it flowers, and I just pick the leaves off that I want to eat. But sometimes during the winters, it'll go all the way back down to the ground and have to regrow. Most of the time, it just regrows on the same stems. But I was chicken to put this in the ground because it can be cold sensitive, and I have it sort of tucked onto the side of the house where it's protected from the north winds, because it's a little bit cold sensitive even in my zone 9B area. So I try to keep it protected. But this is, you can see where I took all the cuttings from, right there. And they did pretty well. So I'll plant those babies out when they're ready to go. It's been a week since I opened this box up and to let them sit out. It's got some leaves enlarging. Still some new baby leaves coming. But I did have a hurricane, so this stayed pretty wet. And I don't want to pick that up to see how much more roots it got on it, because that's going to kind of set it back. So I'm just going to leave it in here for one more week to let them flush out a little bit in the shade. And I may move them to a sunnier spot for a week, so it'll be 3 weeks in this, and then break them up and put them out into the yard. All right, for the sake of science, let's take a look. Not a whole lot more, and again, that's probably because it was staying so wet this week with the hurricane. That's quite a bit more on that one. Maybe I'm wrong. But really, you would not do that. Don't do that. It is still the rainy season in Florida, and it is still ridiculous. But this Katuk is ready to plant out, and if it would stop raining, I could get this done today. They all look good. They've all got nice big leaves on them. So I would have probably done this a week or two ago. I believe that I took the cuttings somewhere around the 1st of August, and then the first video I took of the cuttings after like 7 days or so was, I think, August 7th. And then this today is September 11th, so a little over a month from start to finish transplant time. I guess just so you don't have to track down my propagation boxes, these are just boxes I bought from Costco like 2 years ago, and I poked holes in the side towards the top for aeration, or for some air circulation, and then I poked holes in the bottom for drainage, and then I used Miracle Grow's moisture retention potting mix, and then I just put the lid on and leave it in a shady area under a tree for a couple of weeks after I wet down that soil. And that moisture retention potting soil helps it to stay moist without staying too wet. These are pretty wet because it rained yesterday. Pretty hard last night, I guess. And then I usually, like fast rooting stuff, will root in these in 7 to 10 days. And then Katuk is pretty slow. This has been a while. I don't think that one was very fast. Those just now rooted. That's probably this week that those rooted out. And they work for me. I propagate anything that's easy, like basils and soft leaf stuff. Soft stemmed perennials root super fast in those bins. So that's how I did those.